let's go outside and check on the hoop house in detail. It got down to about, I know when I woke up it said it was 37, but it felt like 30 degrees. It's now the afternoon, but I was running. I was like in a rush to leave this morning, and I realized last night I didn't close my hoop house, and so it was open, and the ground was all frozen out here. When I came out here, it looked like it had snowed. It's what we Southerners call, like, you know, the Southerners snow, because the whole ground was just like white everywhere and frozen. And when I looked over, I realized that the hoop house was open, and I ran over here and just closed it a little bit. So I just closed it a little more. It was like way wider, but I haven't been out here to see. You can kind of see how my tomato is the first thing in there. And so what I was thinking was, I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, the door was left open and my tomato's the first thing. And if it has gotten down so low outside, I'm like, definitely it's probably, you know, froze this tomato plant. But as I walk in here and see, it is actually still alive. It does look like it got a little more damage than usual, and I think it even fell. Yeah, there's a limb that broke, because I'm like, this was a lot taller right here. The tomato that I've been waiting on is still rock solid, but I just wanted to come in here. I ended up putting a worm basket right here, or a worm bin. As we were cleaning out, we're at our where our not our worms, yeah, our worms are over there. We were at our rabbit area where we have our 4 rabbits, and underneath them we have just some bins that we set underneath there with holes at the bottom to catch the manure. And I also have worms inside there. That's where I keep my worm farm, is underneath my rabbit cages to catch the manure and then just turn that into compost. And I've showed a couple times of me harvesting the worm castings from them. And here's the garden kitty. Here's Shadow. So she's gonna keep messing with me. So anyway, while we were over there cleaning up the rabbit area, and I'll go over there and show you, I was just trying to get all the leaves because it's right by trees, and so a lot of leaves have fallen, and it was just looking like a really hot mess. And so I wanted to get it cleaned up and then get the bins. Like, I realized one of the bins didn't even have holes, or enough holes, because it wasn't draining, and so all of the rain and then like the rabbit urine was just kind of staying and making kind of like a muddy, poopy mess. So we were over there yesterday working, and as we moved some of the containers, we found thousands of red wiggler worms underneath the baskets. They were underneath the baskets. They were in the soil, going down into the soil. The soil looked like compost. It was just amazing of how much the soil has changed over there. That used to be a grassy spot. It's completely now just like really composty black soil. And I'll show you, but we were able to scrape up so many more worms than I thought we even had. I knew we had a lot inside of our baskets, but we were actually able to build, we only had 2 baskets to start over there that had worms in them, but there was so much new worms underneath the baskets that we were actually able to build all 6 or 7 of our baskets now have worms in them. And that basket right there was just like, we had extra worms, and the baskets had enough worms in them, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to throw some worms inside of this small basket and keep them inside the hoop house, and then try to even start a small worm farm inside of the garden beds, or just have them travel up and down, like feed them. I've seen people like feed their worms inside of a basket that's like buried inside of their soil. And so that's kind of like the thing that I was thinking. So I just set that there yesterday, and it does have, it's under 2 baskets. So the lower basket has some compost, then the upper basket is filled with leaves and worms. And my thought process is, sitting on the garden bed, is that maybe over time the worms will come, like they all have holes, so, and drainage, that it will be able to, they'll be able to travel in and out of the containers and hopefully be able to grow a worm farm like that. This kitty is gonna keep messing with me. I was just coming in here because it's really chilly outside, and then definitely to check on my plants, but she's gonna keep messing with me, so I'm going to get ready and we're gonna go outside. My peppers as well are still in here, and they're still producing fruit, as you can see. So they're definitely, it didn't freeze in here, which is good. I've been having my girls just come in here and keep adding leaves to these beds and hoping that, there's a little broccoli growing there, hoping that over time that these leaves will just break down and turn into like really great soil. Even these sugar snap peas are growing up nicely and they're beginning to flower, which is amazing, because sugar snap peas, I didn't know that I liked them until I started growing them for myself and realized that they taste amazing. And so I'm really happy to see some flowering going on, and the potato bed is still looking great. I did check the weather and saw that it's going to be going down into the 30s a few more days, and so I'm going to definitely make sure that I keep that hoop closed from now on. I wanted to come over here and grab this, oops, that one fell, this green tomato. There's a couple of them here that when the freeze came, the first two freezes, it did not knock out these plants, but then the last two freezes, it knocked out those plants. And yes, I've ate fried green tomatoes before, but for this amount, I'm not going to, make fried green tomatoes. But I did think it was a perfect opportunity to bring these over to the pigs. So one, I can show you the pigs. They're huge. I haven't shown them in a while. Why is that water on? So I was walking over here and saw a random egg outside of the chicken.
I think that's fake.
It's the fake egg? Is this the fake egg, Naya?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Well, put it back inside of...
I put it in, but it just rolls out.
Put it back in there.
Just really on my stomach. Open this.
What happened right here? Why is this so low compared to right here? It's like a dip. Anyway, put that in there. It's property. These chickens need water, Naya. So we have a bunch of chickens in there, more than we anticipated. That was originally just supposed to be for our American breast chickens, but we were having a problem with the new egg layers that we hatched over the spring and the ones that we got in the mail, and grew out, escaping our ambulance, escaping the fence here because they were still tiny and they could fit through. So these are our pigs, and up, she got both of them. So the pink pig is our girl, and he's our boy. Oh, I'm sorry. They've gotten so big since we first got them. So it's very unexpected. We actually came out here and saw, my kids actually came out here and saw that our Great Pyrenees, that's Winter and Bucky, yes, they mated. And so we should have Great Pyrenees puppies in about 2 months, which was very unexpected. I did not know that she was in heat, and so we should have Great Pyrenees puppies at the same time that we should have piglets, because we also saw them breeding a few I guess weeks or month ago, and pigs are pregnant for 3 months 3 weeks 3 days, and dogs are like the average of 63 days. And so both, when I looked on the calendar and marked it on my calendar, we should be expecting Great Pyrenees puppies and piglets in February. The dog Great Pyrenees puppies will come first, and then the piggies, baby piggies, should come after, which kind of nervous. We've never had piggies or puppies that, you know, birth on our farm. And I think there's even some goats that might be pregnant that might be giving birth around that time. So there'll be a lot of new things happening in February here on the homestead. Hey, Bucky. But I was actually coming out here, besides seeing the hoop house, was also to see the garden. I was telling you guys, if you watched my, you know, garden fails for 2023, I was telling you guys just some of the things I struggled with in my 2023 garden and some of the things that I'm going to be doing differently, like getting some drip irrigation at least at the complete back side of my garden, which is where the log raised beds are, and how we've been adding compost and manure on top, and we're going to get a soil test. We've taken out all of the hoops that we've had over here. We've taken them all out with the exception of this one. My son said it's like bended and melted in the ground, so I don't know what we're gonna do to get that out, but all of the hoops here we've taken out. I'm working on my new garden design for 2024 garden season, and we've rebuilt these beds to make them 15 feet long, and so that is why I took the hoops off of this side, and I am going to leave the hoops on this side because this side I'm still going to be growing vegetables that need trellising, but on this side is where I'm thinking about putting my new tomatoes, and so that's why or cattle panels that just go left to right instead of over, and so that's why we took them all down. And then plus I'm thinking about covering some of them. Right now a bunch of them, mostly all of them, have cardboard down. Some of them do have some leaves, and then we added some manure or compost on top, but I'm thinking about either covering the beds with like landscape fabric, or just, I don't know. I don't really know what. I was thinking about landscape fabric, but then I mentioned that in a video, and then some people were talking about like the soil life and talking about how, you know, it will prevent like worms and stuff from living under it, which is not really what I want. I just want a manageable garden to be able to deal with the weeds, and some of the beds are way weedier than other ones, and so I still been debating on going back and forth. I do have the landscape fabric already here. I haven't put anything down yet. Still going over my garden plan and the design, and thinking about and processing, do I really want to you know, maybe do an experiment and put like the landscape fabric down on some beds but not all of the beds, and vice versa. But I'm still so glad that we got all of these beds weeded and covered with just this black plastic, because I don't have to worry about them for the time being. I am going to get out here soon, and this is what I really wanted to come out here. So these are our blueberry bushes, and I have 8 of them up here planted, and we haven't had like a great blueberry crop from any of them. We've had blueberries here and there, but after doing a soil test on just like, these are planted straight in ground, so I don't remember if I planted them using any compost or anything like that. But if I did, that would make sense of like why they aren't like doing like the greatest, is because the compost, as I found out during my soil test, has a high pH, and blueberries like very acidic soil. And so that could be a possible reason why the blueberries aren't doing that great. And so what I'm thinking about doing is coming up here. At the 2 years ago when I first moved in here, I just laid down cardboard and then wood chips, and you can kind of still see wood chips are still, you know, kind of blocking the weeds in some areas, but not that great. And so what I'm gonna come in here and do is lay down landscape fabric. Right now the landscape fabric is stopped to right here, and I'm going to add probably 2 more layers of landscape fabric to go all the way to the fence. At the fence, I had laid down There wasn't any weed barrier because I planted a bunch of daffodil bulbs, but I am going to just go ahead and cover that with landscape fabric. The reason being, and then rethink about if I want something else to go there, maybe garden beds or something like that, because it's just a weedy mess. Last year I didn't see any daffodils, maybe a couple daffodils, if any, growing back there. And so I don't know if the bulbs just died, if I buried them too deep, or what the case may be, or if the weeds just like taken them. So I'm just going to call that a wipeout and get the landscape fabric out here. But I did want to come out here and assess what I was looking at. And so now that I know there are some like really higher weeds than some. There is a baby tree trying to grow here, an ant pile, and then coming down this way, like that is some serious, we're gonna have to like actually probably dig that out before we lay down any landscape fabric here. And since the blueberries are already planted there, we'll actually probably also have to cut around the blueberry plants in the landscape fabric, like lay down the landscape fabric and then cut like slits into the landscape fabric to allow the blueberries to still stay there without having to dig them up or anything like that. And I am gonna have to get in here and cut down this asparagus patch or burn it. Right now the only thing that's alive in here is weeds, and I was trying to see if I saw any asparagus starting to come back, because they do start coming back in about December or January here. Even though it's still winter, it's because they get tricked by the hot days and then they come back, and then of course they die and then come back, and they keep doing that until springtime. So we did have that frost yesterday, so I wasn't expecting to see any alive, but I wanted to just see if I saw any that had started coming back, to see if it was like too late to go ahead and cut down the asparagus bed and see what I could do there with the weeds. I still haven't tried to brave digging out all this asparagus, because I'm still wiped from digging out the asparagus in the bed in front of it. Like that was really like an all-day task, and I wasn't I'm not sure if I'm mentally ready for that. So I might just leave them another year and deal with the weeds. So I do have my, like I said, I have my weed fabric here. I am going to look in. I have so much things to do to get ready for the next growing season. In order to get drip irrigation, I have to test my water flow and the pressure to see how many beds that my water or my well can take to water. And I don't think that I'll have enough pressure to get my whole garden on drip, but I was thinking at least if I can get the 3, 5, 6, the 7 log beds, and maybe even this cross bed right here and this in-ground bed on drip. Those are like the areas that I struggle with the most, partly being because that's the farthest part away from my spigot. My spigot is all the way past the house, at the side of the house, and I'm thinking if I could get at least those on drip, then I can continue hand watering the rest of the garden and it'd be fine. But we'll see all of those changes. I was just coming out here. I wanted to bring you guys along with me while I peeked at the hoop house to see if that tomato plant was still alive. I've been beginning to wonder about my beets. My beets all sprouted and came up and looking great, but they haven't grown pretty much. They've been this size since they've come up, and I'm wondering if it's because of, you know, the imbalance in the soil that I realized that the compost has, if it just made them sprout, but then they're not thriving. But then on the other hand, you have this like oregano right here that is doing great, even though I cut a lot of it back, I buried it, and it's like doing great. But then you have these beets that have all come up and looking great, but then they haven't really grown much from there. And then the same thing with these carrots. They've all sprouted and are looking great, but then they haven't really grown much from the sprouting phase. So that's all stuff that I've been thinking about, wondering if I should you know, just continue to wait. Like maybe if it's a chilly thing, since it's not getting like a lot of daylight hours, or if it's, you know, and then since it's getting pretty cold, if that has something to do with like the beets and carrots. I don't know. I am gonna leave them because it's not like I have anything else to plant here. And then like the bachelor buttons, they sprouted after the beets and the carrots, and they've already started growing. Same thing with this bed, there's more carrots. Actually, I do see one carrot that started to get its first true leaf, so maybe it's just taking a little longer because of the coldness. I walked back here so I can show you. So this is the only spigot that we have on this side of the house, and there's a spigot actually on the opposite side of the house, but on the same end. So this right here is where we have the holes going to the garden, but this is how far it would have to travel in order to get to my garden beds. And I actually have to come out here and measure exactly how long it is from that spigot all the way to the back of those log raised beds, and so that I can figure out how much like drip tape I'm gonna need, or I guess like the main line to get from that spigot all the way over here, because I know that my garden is about 90 feet long in length, but I didn't even get to my fence yet, but probably from the top of my garden, which is 90 feet across, all the way back to my spigot is probably about another 90 feet, which is really far away when you think about it. And then like this is obviously where this is our patio or our driveway, so this is where we park cars, and so I would have to just think about getting it all the way from the side of the house and the drip line, and then getting it, I guess, somewhere through here where I wouldn't have to where I wouldn't it wouldn't get run over by like a lawnmower or by like the truck or anything like that. So I can't put it like, it would have to like follow, if that makes sense, the house and then come across. So just stuff like that I've been mentally trying to prepare for going forward and planning in the house. So it's like a lot of planning in the house and sitting down, and then I just decided to come out here and kind of like look around and see what I have going on and check on things, and decide to take you guys along with me. It wasn't really like a planned, oh, this is what I have in mind type video. I was just grabbing the camera to take you guys along with me, and I hope that you guys are having a great December and enjoying this chilly weather, and that you're in the mindset of after the holidays getting back into the garden season and just taking this time to rest and just regroup and replan. And thank you guys for hanging out with me and being here with me as I rethink the next year's garden, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye.